Hello everybody, this is Mike with my new YouTube channel, the Kodi Outlet. This is basically a place on YouTube that I'm going to be showcasing tutorial videos, how-to videos, basic description of usage videos with as many things as I have knowledge on right now with regards to the software application known as Kodi. I've got some friends and family out there that I tend to nudge them aside and point them over to the direction of Kodi with some of the things that this particular program has to offer. So I felt it was necessary to make some videos to help them and help you, the viewer, with navigating Kodi, manipulating Kodi, troubleshooting Kodi when you have problems, and being able to understand what you need to do within Kodi in order to overcome whatever hardship you're dealing with. So I'm going to start off by just going to the Kodi website, kodi.tv. It's pretty self-explanatory. Opening page here, their homepage is kind of like their news and things that are on the way, their merch. There's a lot of discussion here right now regarding Kodi version 17 as it's undergoing testing. There are developer kits out there that people are acquiring to test with so that they can get prepared for updating their own software that they use within Kodi. So Kodi is eventually going to change probably pretty soon. In a much different way it's going to appear to you once this is released compared to what it looks like as I'm displaying it to you in this video. I believe with Kodi 17 they're trying to add touch functionality, so they are in fact doing a complete change in the appearance of Kodi. So the default base out of the box Kodi skin is about to change for the purpose of being more user friendly on other devices, because this program can be used on pretty much everything. So we're just going to move over to About really quick. I know for you guys out there that a little bit more tech savvy, some of what I'm going to be going over in these initial videos, or at least this very first video, is going to be pretty, dumbed down to try and bring up the people who have less experience with Kodi. So feel free to skip ahead throughout this video as you get to areas that are maybe of more interest to you. This right here, just the About page of Kodi, basically details that Kodi is an open source and free application for media server functionality. You can use it to house and display everything on your home server, your home network, or just your home PC, or just your phone or Android box or tablet. It'll do everything from music and videos, pictures, slideshows. There is components within it. You can add gaming modules so you can play games directly out of it. It's really just a massive one-stop shop for all your media center needs. So some people like to use, back in the day, used Winamp for music, and they used Windows Media Player for their videos. This will kind of take, all those programs that did their own thing in their own world and bring it into one application. And it's free, and it's open source, which means creators of this sent it out into the world, put their code out there for anybody to be able to use and manipulate and kind of build off of. Downloading. If you come over to kodi.tv/download, this will tell you where you can download this to. Clearly you got Windows, Linux, Macintosh, which is a bit of a gray area. Android, Raspberry Pis have become very popular lately, so you can download for the platform that you're looking for. Run your installation, load it up, and we're going to get to that right now. So this is fresh out of the box Kodi. No bells, no whistles. It's doing its startup updates to make sure it's up to date with everything that it puts in place on the initial installation. It's good to let that go. What you're looking at here is your basic menu, unabridged. As you scroll across, you start with pictures, video, music, programs, system. It's pretty basic. You've got submenus underneath some of these, depending on which one you hover over. You've got a ticker at the bottom. You can pause by mousing over. This will give you RSS feeds from Kodi themselves. If you were to do something like install a build, a lot of people out there make their own builds. All a build is somebody having taken Kodi and customized it into their tailored specifications. Sometimes these people put these builds online. Some of these builds become extremely popular, and a lot of people, rather than learn how to manipulate Kodi themselves, download one of these builds and just work off the build and use the add-ons that were given to them in the build. This has pros and cons. I'll go over this in a separate segment, either in this video or perhaps a future one, depending on how long this video becomes. It discusses builds and, their uses, the drawbacks, and where it's a benefit to you to maybe learn the initial steps of how that build works before you go direct to the build. One thing you have to note is that Kodi is just a media center. The people that made it wanted to give you a tool you could use to view things with. A lot of these builds, what they'll do is they'll bring in add-ons from outside sources to give you the ability to view content from servers all over the world, whether it be a TV show or a movie, etc. If those builds or the add-ons within the builds cease to work, or cease to function as advertised on, say, when you go to Amazon or eBay to try and buy an Android TV box to put under your television set that they've, the person who's selling it has decided to categorize it as a Kodi box, perhaps, or an Android TV box, and they put the Kodi logo on it as a means to try and sell it. What they've done is they've created a piece of hardware, they've injected it with an Android software, they've injected it with Kodi, and they've put a potential build into it so it loads up quote-unquote user-friendly for you. If these builds age and are not updated properly, they will start to show their age and they'll decay, and links will stop working, and servers will have been taken offline, and the build is no longer being managed. You as the user, who does not have a huge background with Kodi and how Kodi works, you might say, okay, well, I'm going to go complain to Kodi. You should know that this has nothing to do with Kodi. Kodi themselves are not responsible for what people put into it. They're just there to give you the ability to put stuff into it. So if the content that you're trying to load up in Kodi starts failing, if servers that content is trying to connect to stop being reached, if they start timing out, buffering, giving you streaming problems, whatever the case may be, go into Kodi or their forums or their contact us line or whatever they're providing for the ability for them to offer support for their customers. Won't work with that regard because it's not them who have created the ability for you to go to that server based on some add-on you've installed. So just keep that in mind. Kodi will support their product, the functionality within their product for normal everyday use, but then when you start involving other people's software within the Kodi world, you can't necessarily go to Kodi for help because they're going to wave it off, especially the stuff that's in the gray area in terms of legality, because Kodi has the ability to give you a lot of great things if you know where to go looking for it. So that's kind of Kodi in a nutshell. That's where the open source thing whole comes into. So what we got here is a pretty handy dandy list of menus with submenus. System is usually where you're going to begin, because that'll give you the ability to, well, let's just go into it and take a look. So the default system menu will give you the ability to edit the appearance. For instance, I could go into the skin. The default skin for this version of Kodi, version 16 Jarvis, is known as Confluence. This will be the one that's going to change when version 17 comes out. Going into Confluence, I can then pick a different skin. Let's say I want retouched instead. Do I like the way this looks? I could say yes. Now suddenly Kodi has a very different appearance to it. If I go back to the home screen, that menu system you saw at the bottom is now over onto the side. Go back into settings now, things are a little bit different. So one of the things you got to keep in mind when you start playing around with different skin downloads is that the layout's going to change. The areas you're going to go to try and undo what you did is going to change. So in this case, appearance is nicely labeled up here at the top. When I went to the little settings icon, that may not be the case everywhere you go. So we're going to go back here, back to skin. We're going to go back to Confluence. And now we're back to the way we were. If you wanted to, Confluence and Retouched are just the two that to give you clean out of the box. You can go to get more, and start going through the plethora of skins that they offer you as choices to pick from. With some of them have, pretty lame icons here that don't really show you much of what's going on. So it takes you installing the skin, playing around with it to see if you even like it, or you can go to, say, YouTube and see if somebody's been demoing the skin for you. Going up a little further, you got this one that kind of has the appearance of being in a movie theater. Some people build skins to give you the impression that you're working within Netflix. They try and replicate the Netflix menu system so that those people that are transitioning away from Netflix into more of a Kodi way of life will have a little bit more of an easier time in their transition. And way up at the top, perhaps one of the more commonly selected ones is Aeon Nox. It's more commonly selected because in the world of Kodi builds, it has a lot of options available to you. It's very basic when you install it by itself. There's not a whole lot to it, but it gives you a lot of power in what you can manipulate within that skin. Changing colors of the menu items, changing the menu items themselves, changing your backgrounds, and the flow of where the menu bar sits on your screen can be altered, and there's widget systems that can be put in place that you have more functionality over. Some of these things are within the base skin of Confluence. By going into settings for Confluence, you can do these sorts of things. Like here I can say I don't want to see the music or pictures menus because I don't want to use Kodi for music or pictures. Again, if I back out, suddenly I can't scroll to the side anymore. I've only got these three particular menus. If I wanted to undo that, just go back to Appearance, Settings, untick these, back my way out, and now I've got my scroll menu again with more options. You can expand on these options, you can create custom menus, then you can create the custom submenus of your desire, even with this base version of Kodi. Just keep that in mind. Other things you can do from within the system menu, something that's very important to note when you're playing around with it, as you come into, say, like I just did, the appearance section, if you go all the way down to the bottom, it'll tell you settings level standard. This will be default. You're going to want to maybe up this a little bit, and as I up it, depending on which menu I'm in, going from basic to standard gave me the file lists. In here, it's important to note that if show hidden files and directories is ticked, you may have a hard time pointing within Kodi to a certain folder if that folder happens to be hidden on either your machine itself or on the actual server you're pointing to, whatever the case may be there. On Android, this is hidden by default. So the problem with that is there's a lot of user data folders within Kodi install on Android that are direct into the hidden folder structure. It took me a little while to realize that when I was trying to set up libraries using add-ons, I couldn't find the location I needed to go to, and it was because it was hidden. So you're going to want to show those hidden directories if that's a concern for you. So back up to skin, let's say. We'll toggle through the system settings level, and you can see how everything's changing here. So I recommend keeping it on expert. If you go down to basic, you're not really playing with a whole lot. Standard gives you a little bit more, advanced more, expert being the most. I always say leave things on expert. Down here is where you could say turn off the RSS feed, so that little ticker that was at the bottom of the screen, turning that off. It's no longer scrolling down here. So there's a lot of customization that you can do within Kodi itself, even if it is just the basic skin. Alright, so I'm going to shift over into kind of a description of how Kodi builds work. I'll go into further detail on how to do your own, maybe in a later video if there's any interest in seeing that. But what you're seeing here is an example of a Kodi build, where you take the bare minimum Kodi, you modify it in such a way that it displays what you want to display, it links to where you want to link, it has the add-ons that you want, it has the videos and the background pictures and the sounds. You can add intros to the very beginning of the startup. You can set the weather to your local location, date, time, you name it. There's a lot of ways you can manipulate Kodi to take it from what you see out of the box and turn it to what may be perceived as a slightly more professional edition of, something you each show friends and family. So in this case here, this particular build is sort of my hobby project. It was something I started doing on my own just to see what I could accomplish for a first run. So I watched some stuff online, just like how you're watching me. Gave me the tutorials. I went through a couple dry runs on my own, added stuff slowly, and slowly expanded on this to make it kind of like a hobby project, just to see if I'd even want to use it. So right now you're seeing how the backgrounds are cycling through a particular folder I've got in place so that the TV show's heading, or the TV show's menu item that you see at the bottom here, it's got its own background selection that it cycles through. It's got 5 or 6, I think I put into a folder. If I move over to movies, movies has its own folder that it goes into and pulls backgrounds that I've pre-selected from the web and put into that folder. Now uses those as its rotational background scheme. So you'll notice here that it looks different in many ways outside of just, the colors and the pictures that you're seeing here. The traditional Kodi has a different menu layout, for instance. So what I'm using is probably one of the more popular Kodi skins right now. It's called add-ons. I'm using one of the more recent versions of it, as well as a Silvo add-on that was made available to give you a little bit more features you can tweak and play around with. So what I've got here is, you got the menu system at the very bottom. I've got colors added to these particular menu items. I've got submenus below those that point directly into add-ons, and not just to the add-on itself, but to a menu selection within the add-on. So in this case, this is me making use of Exodus. If I want to go and click on new episodes, it takes me to the new episodes menu of Exodus. So this would be the latest episodes that are being aired most recently, in order based on date. So back into there. Here's the one for most popular, genres, networks, and I have to keep going over. There's search, airing today, calendar, and so forth. Furthest to the left, you can see tracked. This will be, I think, its own video. Tracked integration with Kodi is pretty nifty, so we'll get to that at a later date. Up at the top, what I've done is I've created a widget. This is a widget option that Kodi Aeon Nox skin has available to it. So rather than, post something from new episodes, because I've already got it down here, I thought it'd be nice to have what people are watching up top. Kind of gives me an idea, a quick glance as to what the latest trending television series is, and hovering over it will, at the time that you've hovered over it, exchange your pre-selected background with the background that's particular to that TV show that you've hovered over top of. So this is an interesting way to liven up the view. That was kind of neat. Live TV, I've given it just this standard Fallout 3 background from the video game Fallout 3. For submenus, I've just linked to various live TV add-ons that I've found over the times I've experimented with this. Programs, not a whole lot I've added into here just yet. I used the Fusion installer to give me the add-on installer. I used the Area Wizard and the tracked. Pretty simple stuff there. System, this is just as it would be in the normal Kodi. Go into the system section, you can set up which add-ons you want, you can manipulate how they're displayed on the screen. So I kept all that the same. Sorry, let's go back to quick Kodi. This is just straight up, you hit this, you're out of Kodi. Nothing crazy about that. I got rid of the submenus. I didn't care about the options to restart or to reboot, because there are those choices in there. All I wanted to do is be able to get out of Kodi quick and easy. Weather, it's just an example of weather. There's nothing more to this. This is a case where sometimes in a hobby build you can end up putting way more into it than you're actually going to make use out of. This is just me experimenting using the weather widget with the weather menu and seeing how well it updated and whether or not it pulled my local data properly. So that's about all there is to that. I had a sports section. All it does is link to the varying different add-ons that I use to watch sports. Web for web-related stuff, YouTube, Twitch. Vice actually has their own add-ons. You can watch Vice episodes and segments of their episodes. EarthCam is pretty nifty. It's an add-on that lets you tap into a cam that might be posted up on, say, a rooftop in Jamaica, and it's out looking over the beach at a resort. So if you want to see how things look out in Jamaica that particular day, EarthCam is a pretty neat add-on for you there. Music's just music. I got a link direct to local radio using the TuneIn Radio app, and then I've got just a link direct to TuneIn Radio. That way I can go local immediately, or I can do a search for music from all over the world. Django is also another one I put in there. Movies, gave it the same treatment as TV shows. It's got the same people watching widget at the top for movie specific, and it's got sub-menus that point into various locations within Exodus. And yeah, that's pretty much what a tailor-made custom Kodi build would be. Definitely more to that to come if there's any interest in learning on how to make your own. I've found that even though I've completed this project, I may not necessarily make full use out of it. I find that builds, especially ones you download online, what they will normally do is they'll jam pack this thing with so much content to try and fit everything and anything that they can into their build that one, it takes forever to download and install. Two, it can run into problems with connecting to the server that you're downloading it from. Three, it may not properly be updating. And four, you'll normally get memory or cache buildup that'll take place just due to the fact that there's so much working within your Kodi. And if there's a lot of stuff in your Kodi that you don't make use of, it's taking up memory on your system, even if it's just a little bit. It all adds up over time, and then you're going to end up having performance degradation, and you're going to be clearing your cache and wiping your memory or closing out of your app or rebooting your Android box more often than not, and all because of apps or add-ons you may not even necessarily be making use out of. So yeah, that's all there is for the builds at the moment. Just an example of what you can download or what you can create on your own if you were looking to do so. Alright guys, I think that's where we're going to end this video actually. I hope this was somewhat useful as sort of an introductory as to what you can expect when you're jumping into Kodi head first and you've never really experienced it before and you're looking to deal with, what people are trying to sell you online versus what you get out of the box if you just go to the Kodi website. Next video, I think we're probably going to be discussing how to just use it as a straight up media center for stuff that's on your computer, and perhaps after that we'll start talking about the add-ons. Just have to wait and see. Thanks for watching.